Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We'll begin in a couple of minutes, if that's okay. We'll just wait for some more people to come through. Hope you've had a lovely day so far. And maybe just go and grab a drink now, maybe nip to the loo, and we'll start at just gone 4 o'clock. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're going to start in a minute or so, just waiting for some more people to come through, and then we'll begin. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for waiting and welcome to this online event from Pearson. Before we get started, I'd like to go over some few housekeeping items so you will know how to participate in today's event. Before we discuss how to download any associated materials and use the platform, I would like to inform you that this session will be recorded for regulatory purposes and for our quality assurance. You will have the opportunity to submit text questions to today's presenter anytime by typing your questions into the chat box, which is located at the bottom right side of your screen. You may also interact with the presenters on the same chat box. The chat box is for sharing ideas with the whole group, and anything you type into this window can immediately be seen by other delegates in the room. To enter a question or a comment, type into the bottom section of the chat window and hit enter on your keyboard. You may also use the same chat box for assistance in case you encounter any technical issues in viewing or listening to the webinar content. To queue for questions, click on Raise Hand at the menu bar at the bottom. If you don't see this, click on the icon labeled Participants and select Raise Hand. Otherwise, try holding the Alt and the letter Y on your keyboard. That's all I need to go through for now. Our presenter for today is Paul Webster, and it's with great pleasure that I hand you over to him now. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Ellie, and welcome, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to this support event for GCSE Drama and A-Level Drama and Theatre. Hope that your Thursdays have been wonderful and not too stressful. Hope that all your students are doing well and coping in these crazy circumstances, but let's hope that there are some good times ahead. It's Thursday, the 20th of January, 2022. I am Paul Webster. I am the subject advisor for drama and performing arts at Pearson. And what we're going to do this afternoon is we're going to have a look at component 2 and component 3, just to make sure that you're okay with everything and you know what is going on in light of changes that we've already applied and the advanced information which we're going to be providing you with. I'll also share some news and updates about the latest things that are going on, things that you may need to know about, maybe things that you didn't realise. As Ellie said, if you have any questions, please put them into the chat box. Some of you have already done that very successfully. Thank you very much. And what we'll do is we'll have a look at each section, as you can see on the screen, and then kind of just open it up for questions anyway at the end of each bit. So feel free to wait until I've gone through all the info first. So we'll begin with component 2. And this year, you've got the choice, if you are a UK centre, of either requesting a visiting examiner or having the work recorded. You'll do it yourself, and then you will submit it to your allocated examiner via our new learner work transfer system platform. So if you're an international centre, I don't know whether any of you are, if you want to put your details in the chat, we can have a little talk about it. We won't be sending out any examiners this year. The examination window runs from Monday the 1st of February until Friday the 1st of April. Oh, hello, Therese. Welcome. Hope you're well in Bermuda. So if you do have any questions, Therese, just put them in the chat box if you like, because you'll be recording the work yourself this year. If any of you in the UK requested an early examiner this year, then they would have started to contact you this week from Monday to arrange the details of the visit. So the early examiner window is the 1st to the 10th of February. But if you want a visiting examiner later than the 11th, or you want to submit your work by recording, you don't need to tell us this now. You don't need to let us know. What we ask is that you make your exam entries as soon as you can via your exams officer, and we will then allocate an examiner to you in early February. Obviously, if you don't make exam entries, we won't know if you've got any students who want to do the exam this year. So the exam window is, in terms of making exam entries, is open until the 24th of February. So you do have until then, but if you left it until the end, we wouldn't know until you did. So for any centres that opt for digital assessment, all the documentation must be sent via the learner work transfer system by the 15th of April. So there's quite a big window if you decide to go for assessment via recording. Now, we have lots of really useful information on our website that you may not know about, and what I thought would be a good idea now, through the wonders of technology, is take you on a little tour of our website. Now, in order to do this, I'll just stop sharing my screen for a moment, and I will go onto, we're going to have a look at the GCSE web page first of all, and it's basically the same information for A level, but I can show you that as well. So let's get back onto the website. So you should see now in front of you the GCSE drama web page, and there are two key areas that you should be looking at for all your work, and this is for component 1 as well. So at the top here you see course materials. So if you click that, it will eventually take you to this page, and this is the spec and sample assessment materials. So here on the left hand side, you need this button here, the forms and administration. So if you go here, you will find all the forms, the admin support guide, everything that you need for sorting out the administrative sides of the course this year. So the Bible is the admin support guide, which you should all have had a look at. And if you haven't, then have a look now, because that's got all the dates and the details of what you need to do. It's got the information around choosing your sample, because for GCSE, if you've got like a large size cohort or class, then you will be choosing the sample yourself. There's also really some other really useful documents here as well. So there is this document here. This is for component 2, the assessment process, which is really just an overview of what I've been talking about so far in terms of the choice between a visiting examiner or you recording the work and sending it to your examiner yourself, the details of that, the processes that you need to follow. This is an assessment materials checklist. Now, this is something new that we've introduced this year, just so that everybody knows exactly what they have to do, depending on which situation you're in. So if you want to have a visiting examiner this year, then you have to send some work to them prior to their visit, so 10 working days before they visit. So you need to send them the student intention forms, you need to send them the extracts of the scripts. And also kind of like a cover sheet for the students. If you are just going to record the work and send it to your examiner, you don't need to send anything in advance. You send it all at the same time. So you'll send the intention sheets, you'll send the extracts, you'll send all the student mark sheets, all of it at the same time when you submit your work, and the recordings, of course, of the performances. As I said, admin support guide is really vital that you have a look at that. We've introduced this new system this year called the Learner Work Transfer System, and this is basically where you will upload all your materials via a link, so an online transfer system. So there's no more pen drives, there's no more CD-ROMs, there's no more Betamax tapes, there's no more paperwork, there's nothing that you will need to send anymore by post. The only variance on that is if you have got an early examiner this year, then we ask that you send some of the pre-materials to them via email, because the Learner Work Transfer System doesn't open until the 1st of February. But apart from that, for everybody else, you'll use that system. And it's really straightforward. It really is. Like, it's not, we've used it in other subjects before, in other qualifications, and it works like clockwork. It's absolutely fine. But it's really important that you just familiarize yourself with it and have a look. So please have a look at our guidance document there. I'm just thinking what else you need to do here. We've also got the centre information sheet, which is what you'll need to do. And this is what you'll need to send. So this is you basically saying that the materials that you've got are all standard, that you've recorded everything, or that you're going to record everything clearly, that you've got the details of each student, so the name, the candidate number, the file name of the recording, the type of performance, the play that they and the extract from the play that they're doing. The other thing that isn't on here yet, but will be from early next week, is an intentions pro forma. So we haven't had one of these before, but we thought that it would be useful for this year. So usually when doing the intention sheet, you would take the questions from the specification where the students are writing about their interpretation of the particular role, but we've just put together a pro forma, so you don't have to do that anymore. So you can, of course, create your own, that's absolutely fine, but we will have one available on here for you. There's also, as you can see, forms for component 1. So an assessment materials checklist, and the details of the mark forms that you're going to use, the assessment forms for your students. We've got two different versions of the form here for component one. One is interactive and one is simple. So the simple one is basically an Excel spreadsheet, and the interactive one, you put the details in and then it creates a series of kind of word forms that you'll fill in. So you can use either of those. We don't have a preference. There's also the live theatre evaluation form, so like the cover sheet for the students for when they are going into the exam. So that's hopefully that's very useful information for you if you didn't know it already. The other area of the website I'd like you to take you to is if you go back up to the top and to this tab here and click on Summer 22. We've got some really useful information here. So we press Access Summer 2022 Support, and what we're then given, we're given 6 documents at the moment. There will be another one coming shortly, which will be about further information about advanced information. So what we've got here is, if you haven't seen this already, it's a guidance document. It's a presentation and information from the principal examiner for component 2. So in this case, this would be from Ruth Gibbs, who is the lead for component 2 for GCSE drama. And on the A-level page, there's the same thing, but from Sally Bruton, who is the lead examiner for component 2 for A-level. So here there's some really useful information. I mean, I think that you're going to know most of it, if not all of it already, but it just puts it all in one place. So hopefully you'll find that useful, just confirms a few things for you. The second document is the advanced information guidance, which we're going to go through in a short while in this session. This third document is the early visit form, which is now defunct, but there for your reference. So that was to give people the opportunity to suggest whether or not they wanted an early examiner. There's an FAQ document, which you may find useful, which covers all 3 components. There's a letter to centres from the autumn term, which covers the fact that we were confirming we were going to be using the adaptations this year. And then finally, if you haven't seen this guidance document, this is a very useful one, because this is the summary of changes for components 1 and 2. And this clarifies that, for example, students can use monologues or duologues within component 1, that they only need to do 1 extract rather than 2 for component 2. So exactly the same information is on the A-level page, which I'll quickly show you. So as you can see, so this is on the A-level page. In the Summer 2022 support, we have got these 6 documents there, and following in a similar trajectory under course materials, in the forms and administration section, you have got the 11 guidance documents there, which you can use at your will. So just going back to the presentation now, and at this point, does anybody have any questions they would like to ask about component 2? Is there anything that you need to know? If you would like to put it into the chat box, you can do. There's also the option, as Ellie said, about being able to raise your hand, and we could then take you off mic. So if anybody does have any questions, then please go ahead now. This is for component 2, of course. It looks, by the looks of it, by this lack of response, everybody is all right, which is, I find, very satisfying indeed. So well done, everyone. It may be that you have got a question might appear later on. That's absolutely fine. It may be that after this event you go, oh yeah, why didn't I ask that? So if that is the case, you can always contact me. I will give you my contact details at the end of the session. But for now, everybody, it looks like we can move on. Oh, Therese, hello. You got in just in time. So you've said, if the new criteria suggests students only have to do 1 extract, should the student still do 2 and choose the best one? And if they do 2, can we opt to upload both? So the second part is no. So there should only be one submission, one performance or design extract for each student. What if you have students who are unsure about which ones to do, then that's what you can work on with them now, which is that, you know, if they were doing a monologue and they were doing a group piece and they wanted to do both and they rehearse both, and then you look at both and you go, do the group piece, and then they've performed that and record that, and then you use that. I would say, you know, we completely understand that students may not be able to know that they're still working things through, that they're strong in many different areas, but when it comes down to it, for the assessment this year, they're only going to be submitting one. So I would suggest that you work it through with them and they make that decision. Excuse me. In terms of the marking, oh yeah, I'm sure they'll be happy as well. In terms of the marking, for GCSE marking in normal times, the students are marked out of 48 and each extract has the same balance, so out of 24. For A level, it's slightly different usually because the monologue duologue has less marks allocated to it than the group. But we have got a grading system in place this year where it all balances out and they're scaled so that it doesn't matter what a student chooses to do in A level, they will get a comparable grade. So they're not at an advantage. For example, if they decided to do a group piece, there aren't more marks. It's the same amount of marks that will be awarded whatever they decide to do. So unless there's any more questions, we will move on to look at the summer arrangements in terms of what's happening with component 3. So there's various bits of guidance on our website that you can refer to, and once this event has completed, you'll get a copy of these slides, so you'll be able to access, because the links are clickable on the slides. So we have a Summer 22 support page, which has lots of useful information, and it covers all of the qualifications that Pearson offers. So if you have to teach another qualification or you want to pass this on to your colleagues, then there's all the information there. We've got a sign up for general qualifications bulletins and to access previous ones. And there's also the Summer 22 FAQs, which again cover all subjects. Then for more specific information about drama, then there's my subject page on the website, which you can have a look at, and you can also sign up there for my newsletters if you haven't already signed up to get those. And as I just showed you, that on each page on the qualification website, there is the Summer 2022 support tab at the top, which will take you to all the latest information. So let's have a look now at the changes for component 3. And hopefully you are already aware of this, but there will be some advanced information released around component 3, Theatre Makers in Practice. This is for GCSE first. So the advanced information will be for section A, bringing text to life, so for the set text. And we will be providing information about those. There's going to be an extended version of the extracts which will be used in the exam paper. So the advanced information will basically explain what the start and end points of the section are. And then the specific extract will be in the exam paper. It wouldn't be the huge one, it would be the normal size one in the exam paper. In terms of the live theatre evaluation, there's not going to be any change to that. The changes that we've already implemented around that section of the exam are to do with students can use recordings, or they can use live streams. They don't have to refer to an actual live production that they've been to see, because we know how difficult that's been for students. So the advanced information will be released on the 7th of February. If you want to have a look at the information that I've been referring to here, then it's on that support tab that I've just shown you on the website. So similar advanced information for A-level for component 3, in the sense that for both sections B and C will also have information on the extended version of the extracts that will be used, and the start and end points will be released on the 7th of February. Then there will be the specific extract as usual that's stated within the exam paper. And same rule for live theatre, so section A of A-level, whereby the students can use recordings, but the rest of the questions for A-level section A will remain the same. Are there any questions about component 3 and the advanced information at this point? And let's see if anybody has got their hands up, or anybody's put any questions in the chat box. Oh, there is. Zawina, hello. Would you like to speak? Let's allow you to talk. Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, when you talk about the advanced information, because this is the first, I haven't done the GCSE in about 5 years, the advanced information that you're referring to, is that, you mentioned the extract, so are you given the extract before? Sorry, can you just clarify what usually is the advanced information? Thank you.
Of course, yeah. So this is the first time, and maybe the only time, that we're ever going to do advanced information. But because usually what will happen with the exam is that the students go in and in the exam paper, they're given a specific extract for them to look at, and then they answer the questions on. And what we are going to do, and what all exam boards are going to do this year, is we're going to say, we're going to give a bigger extract from the set text, so students will know kind of which area of the play that they're going to be looking at, and which potentially could help in terms of revision, because of course the students still need to study the whole play, they still need to know the whole text, because there are questions that are specifically about in GCSE and in A-level, which are about, they can refer to the whole text in their response. But the idea of this is really just to give them a bit more support at this time of year when they're coming to do the revision, rather than this be the first time that they've looked at the text.
Thank you so much. That helps.
Is that all right? Lovely, thank you.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you.
Great, thanks. I think there's some more questions that have come in. Yes, okay, so Helen, hopefully, I don't mind going back to look at that at the A-level again. So that's what it looks like, Helen. It's for sections B and C is where the extended extracts will be highlighted when we release the information on the 7th of February. Georgie has asked, are there any restrictions about the date a production was recorded to use for live theatre? Does it need to be a production that was recorded recently? No, Georgie, absolutely fine. There's never been any restrictions for the Pearson specifications. So I know that for some other boards, I think they might have put like a 5-year kind of limit on, that if it was before 2016, 2017, that students couldn't use it, but it's absolutely fine. So it may be that there are some recordings that were done quite a long time ago where the production values are not, in terms of the camera work and how it's done, they may not be necessarily the best ones. But if you were to use any from the National Theatre resource, for example, which are all free to UK centres, the quality of those, the multi-camera, they're absolutely brilliant. So no, there's no restrictions about the ones you use. Alicia has asked about the wording and the wording on the 2021 exam paper. So it says non-verbal skills, but it's always been vocal skills or physical skills. So, so in answer to your question, it's about, because one requirement is that we have to change the questions each year. But when you look at something like non-verbal, it is basically the same as physical skills. So it's to do with gesture, it's to do with mannerisms, it's to do with physicality. It's basically everything apart from using their voice. So when you look back through the question papers from 2018 onwards, you'll see that they are following very similar trajectory. So I think what would be a good idea for you in terms of preparing your students is to just look at them all and go through them all and go, look, these are the types of this is what you'll be asked. And then hopefully when they come across terminology like that, it's not going to freak them out too much. I understand your point that it's a quite slightly unusual way to state, that it's about physical skills, but because it is basically saying the same. But we in no way are trying to catch students out. It's just that it has to shift each time in terms of the focus and purpose. Therese has asked, lovely, thank you, Alicia. If it's been provided somewhere, but do we need to register to have papers sent to our international centre and then send them in for grading as how we used to do it before COVID? So you would, you would make your exam entries, Therese, and via your exams office, and then whatever arrangement is normally in place would be done, because I presume that the papers would be sent to you in advance and then you would distribute them on the day. I don't know whether there's any other arrangement, but I would speak to your exams office about this just to make sure. Okay, I think that looks like all the questions that have come in, and I don't think there are any other hands up. Okay, yeah, I would talk to them and just make sure that they have got the arrangements, because to be honest, I'm not too sure if there's like a completely separate process that you would be involved with, but I would just assumed it would be the same as usual, really. So good luck with that. And if you do have any follow-on questions, then please get in touch with us and we'll do our best to help. Okay, so let's move on. We've talked about the advanced information, and now this section is about contingency arrangements. Now, based on what's been happening in the UK this week, with the potential that the Plan B COVID arrangements are being scrapped from next Thursday, and students wearing masks, etc., within centres is going, that it looks very likely that exams will go ahead in summer 22. In terms of the adaptations and in terms of everything that we have in place at the moment, they will continue. So it's not like any of that would change, which I'm sure you'll be pleased to hear. You will continue with what you've been doing with component 1, you continue with component 2, and we'll have the advanced information, but it doesn't look as if exams will be cancelled. In case they are, just in case they are, based on information that the DfE and Ofqual have released, we would use teacher assessed grades as we did in summer 21. So Ofqual have basically produced some information about how you would collate evidence of student performance and what you need to do. Now, there is no requirement for you to determine tags or do anything unless exams are actually cancelled. And as I said, it's looking highly unlikely from a UK perspective anyway. In terms of from an international perspective, that is a slightly different situation. But for the moment, it's looking like we will go ahead. as planned. But if there are contingencies implied, that although there wouldn't be the formal exams, that students should be assessed as much as possible under exam-like conditions. I mean, this is all entirely speculative and incredibly highly unlikely to go ahead now. But it's basically just about trying to ensure fairness and parity. But I'm sure that many of you who experienced this last year would like to avoid going through it again. It's just really information about assessment opportunities within the timetable if anything were to, if exams were to be cancelled. So the spring term and the first half of the summer term, and really the types of assessments that you could do and the type, but I mean, really, I would suggest that we don't need to worry about this. I'm going to send you these slides so you can use them as a reference, but I would say that we don't need to worry. In line with what we did last year, what you're required to do, that we would, we had the published mark schemes and guidance and the support that we provided. And that's just really about the retention of work and what you should do with it, and that if exams go ahead as expected, that the component 1 and component 2 would as well. But we have more information on our website, on the PD Academy, which you can access from either the GCSE drama webpage or from the A-level webpage. And we've also got the JCQ FAQs about this as well. In terms of the grading outcomes this summer, Ofqual have released some information on this. And so it's expected that as an exam board, we'll set grade boundaries, which are a midpoint between what happened in kind of summer 2018, 2019, before the pandemic, and then what happened in 21. So just trying to find this midway point of where the grade boundaries would sit, as well as taking everything else into consideration around advanced information and the other adaptations that have been applied. The idea is that it's providing a safety net for students and to reflect the disruption that they have undertaken. So there may be that the grading outcomes, the results overall are slightly higher than in 2019, but not as high as they were in 2020. But it will vary by subject and grade. So there's a lot that is being considered in terms of how students will be awarded. I suppose the main thing really is that the students who are doing GCSE and A-level drama are okay with what they're doing, and they've got enough guidance, and that they are able to get as much out of the course now in terms of the learning as is possible. So I think that's what we need to really focus and concentrate on. The idea is that in 2023, we will return to the results in line, the grade results that were in line with pre-pandemic times. But we'll wait and see on that, won't we? So that's the information about 2022 component 3 assessment and how that's going. Again, if anybody has any questions at this point, then please say so now. Otherwise, I can move on to talk about news and updates that are things that you might find interesting that's going on at the moment. So we've got new exemplar materials for A-level components 1 and 2, which is great, about time, some of you say. So these cover lots of design elements, which is absolutely brilliant. Basically for component 1, we've got design portfolios for lighting, costume and set. For component 2, we've got a group performance and a monologue, and plus a costume design for the monologue. So hopefully you will find those useful. If your exams officer has been badgering you about exam entry codes for component 3 this year for GCSE, and they've said what is A and what is B, As you know, we have introduced 4 new texts to our set text. So we have a list A and a list B. So if the work was written before 1954, then it's in list A, so in Spectacles, Crucible, etc. But we've also added A Doll's House by Tanika Gupta and Antigone by Roy Williams. And list B are those plays that are written after the year 2000, so things like DNA and 1984. And we've also added 2 new plays there, so The Free Nine and Gone Too Far by Bolak Badji. What that means is that there's now 12 set texts, and when we come to do the exam paper, it's going to be a really thick paper if all 12 extracts were included. So we are asking that you make an exam entry according to which text that you're doing. So when the students go in, if you've used the A code, then they'll just have the 6 set texts extracts from the list A. And likewise with list B, they won't have all the text. So it's really important that you and your exams officers make the right exam entries for component 3 this year, either list A or list B. All the information is in the specification. So if you're in doubt, just have a look, because we've updated it with all of that. There's also a T option, so like 1DRO T, A or TB or TC. And again, if T, just ignore any entry that has T in it, because it's basically for a student who wanted to retake the qualification. Now, it's not been possible because it's usually from the previous year, and last year it didn't happen. So you did tags, so it's not, just ignore them. They shouldn't be there. They're confusing everybody. So just ignore an entry that has a T. I was saying before about the qualification weighting and how, if for instance you're doing A-level component 2, that there's now a balance because we've balanced it out and scaled it. We have a document on our website which explains all of this. So when I send you the presentation slides afterwards, you can have a look if you like. It explains how all of it will be assessed and all the different weightings through the 3 components. The performance text submission deadline for GCSE and A-level is Monday, the 31st of January. Could you please ensure that you put the texts that are being studied for component 2 and 3 for GCSE and for all 3 components in A-level with the practitioners as well. If you've got any problems with meeting that deadline, then just email. It's absolutely fine. Just contact me, teachingperformingarts@pearson.com, and we'll sort something out. But otherwise, please meet that deadline. Final bit of news is that we've got a project, a thing that's happening at the moment called If I Were. And it's really about involving your students if they want to do anything extracurricular. That it's about their ideas on a text that they've read, or a play, or even it can even be a novel or a story where they want to reimagine what happens in it. They want to rewrite the favourite text with changing the context of it, retold from their own perspective. It's quite a nice little thing, and there's, you know, prizes and things that they can get involved with. So if you want to do that, again, the link will be in the presentation when I send it through to you. Oh, look at my face. I can only apologise. Those are my details. That's the telephone number. If you give it a call, then you'll get through to one of my colleagues. And if I'm around, I happily speak to you. There's also my email address there, teachingperformingarts@pearson.com. I'm on Twitter at PearsonPerfArts, and I'm also on Facebook. There's 2 Facebook groups. There's the Teachers of Edexcel, Pearson GCSE Drama, and there's also one for A-level Drama and Theatre. So you can ask me questions on there as well. And I feel that we are now at the end of this session. We've whizzed through 45 minutes, lots of information there. I hope it's been useful. If anybody has any further questions, please say so now. If anyone wants to raise their hand and ask a question, come off mic, I'll be happy to talk to you. Zawina, do you have another question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, I sent my the scripts like that I was using for C2 a while ago, but I didn't hear anything back. So I'm super paranoid that whether or not what we're doing is fine. And I did phone up to kind of double check, but because I've had to use more monologues because there's a pupil who hasn't returned back due to health reasons and was initially in a duologue. So I've had to use another text that I didn't initially specify. And so, yeah, I spoke to the person, they said it seemed that it would be fine because it's obviously different from the component 3 text that we're doing, because we're doing the Crucible and doing sort of newer text as C2. But again, I asked for clarification just to make sure that everything was fine. I didn't hear anything. So do we not hear anything if everything is fine and only hear if things aren't fine?
That's right, yeah. And so the texts are being checked each week. And because of the situation that we're in this year, there's a bit of leniency around the type of text. So there are some texts that are being allowed this year that we wouldn't usually allow. So there's a few monologue plays that are being allowed that usually we would say no, there needs to be more than one character. So do you know what the play was? So off the top of my head, I'll see if I can answer the question.
Yeah, so we're doing the Crucible in C3, and the play that I added was Alan Ayckbourn's Talk in the Park.
Okay.
The Confusions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that would be fine to use Confusions. It's this GCSE, isn't it?
Yes, it's GCSE.
Yeah, no, Confusions would be fine. I think it's fine anyway. I know how the structure is, like episodic and in kind of shorter plays, but I think you can use it anyway. So don't worry about that.
Great, amazing. Thank you.
No worries. A couple of questions have come in. One from Stacey. With the current year 10, am I able to complete component 1 this term? Will it be normal groupings and timings? Yes, Stacey. So we expect that the requirements for students finishing in summer 23 will be reverting back to the usual requirements in the specification. So I would say don't go near the adaptations for your year 10s. So if you can, if you try to do this and it all goes horribly wrong, COVID happens, etc., then there's, maybe it's worth waiting just because it's the spring term and whether there's the opportunity to do it in the summer term and things might just get a bit more normal. We can only hope. But if you are going to do it and things go according to plan for you and your students, then please use the normal timings. Georgie, if you don't hear back anything for A-level, yes, you what would deem a text unsuitable for monologues? Well, again, Georgie, we are allowing a lot of plays to go through this year. So, for instance, usually a play wouldn't be suitable when it's normally performed, like it's less than an hour, or if it's a monologue. If it's just a monologue, that we'd usually say don't use it, but this year there is a lot more flexibility. So it'd be I'd say that the plays that we're not really going to allow are plays which aren't really, like the things that the students found on a website, and it's like, oh, where's that come from? I've never heard of that play before, and it's because someone's just published it, and you could say, it's not really had any quality checks. So I'd say that you can use most texts this year, to be honest. Stacey, will students be penalised in C2 if they go over maximum timings? I would say you need to take into consideration, I don't know whether this is, this is for C2, sorry. So yeah, I would be really careful about them going over the maximum timings, purely because the examiners know how long things should be, and we have the maximum timings of things. So we have recommended minimum timings, but we then have the maximum timings. So I would just be really careful that seconds could potentially be fine. If students have gone over by minutes, they're in danger of that work, those final minutes after the maximum timing, have been not being included in the assessment. And then you would like to think, you know, that they've been able to access the whole mark scheme with the stuff that they've done in that first 20 minutes, that they haven't just done all their best performance and their best acting in the time where they've gone over. So I would say do your best to get them to stick to the maximum. Stacey, never apologise for asking questions. Can I have two female students playing male characters? Not a problem, absolutely fine. If anybody's ever in doubt about this, it's about, don't even worry about that. It's actually more to do with really the suitability of the student, regardless of their gender. You know, it's can they play that character, not are they going to be penalised because it's a gender other than their own. So it's about the suitability of the role, you know, maybe look at it that way. You can edit the script. Yeah, you can cut out lines. And as long as it just continues to make sense, you know, as long as it's not like gone crazy, especially for GCSE, that you're not using the whole text and then just selecting things, that's not what you should do, but it's absolutely fine to make edits. Rachel, oh, the question's just disappeared. Rachel, you've chosen some monologue text, but they're published and unperformed plays. Would that be okay? Are they able to edit? Yeah, I think what's important is the students have chosen text from a monologue book, I presume, but they are taken from published plays. That's absolutely fine. I think it's really vital that they read the whole play as well. So they can use that extract, that's absolutely fine. But they actually, I think it's really fundamental that they know, especially because when they do when they're writing about the communication of intentions, they're talking about where the extract is in the play. And, you know, I think it's really important because in some plays you get, it's not like a naturalistic play where you're just getting that day or that hour of the character's life. Potentially it covers, well, just even looking at Blood Brothers, you know, it shows them at different stages of their life. So maybe just ensure that the students read the plays as well. Therese, you've got 2 questions. Okay, great. We are currently completing the performance of component 1. We had to push it back due to COVID, and I'm concerned about them now meeting the 20 minutes. As I have a group of 5 and a group of 6. Do we just work to the length that they get to? Yes. I note that there only appears to be a minimum time consent. Yes. Yeah. So don't even worry about it. You know, there are so many variables that you can take into consideration, and it's not a requirement. And we've made this very clear in our guidance documents as well, that you know, we've put in the regulatory minimum that students have to meet. So in terms of that recommended, that's just a recommendation. If they don't meet it, they don't meet it. They're still going to be able to access the marks that are available. So please don't worry about that, because that's just not, you don't need that burden. Secondly, if we end up with a change situation here with COVID, as case numbers are going a little nuts, is there a date where we would need to notify you that we can't have our students sit in person? So presume that you're talking about component 3. Yeah, I feel with this, because of your situation as as an international centre, we need to provide you and other centres in your situation with some specific guidance about that. So, and it will obviously be case by case because your situation is going to be different to another centre. So let's just stay in touch, I think, is the best thing. And we'll do that. And that can be through your exams office, or it can be through you as well. So stay in touch, Therese, and we will support you however we can. Rachel, you've clarified they are plays that are just monologues. Oh, right. Okay. Well, oh, I see what you mean. Is that I don't know whether this is for yeah. So, Rachel, basically, we're being quite lenient this year with monologue plays, so they should be all right. I think. Hopefully you've submitted them because we would if so we'll have a look at them, and they're checked by the senior examining team if there's any problems. Stacey, you've asked about in things I know to be true, the argument, can we take out Rosie and Bob, change the pronouns from you to, oh gosh, you're asking a lot there, aren't you? I think there are limits actually. So because you're changing quite a lot there. So I think I would err on the side of caution about actually changing the script. I know that we've allowed things like changing some gender of characters is also possible. Again, if it doesn't shift too much the meaning of what the character's about and about their motivations, but I'm not sure about what you're suggesting there. Maybe you want to send that in and we can ask the lead examiner. I'm not sure, if I'm being entirely honest. I'm glad I've been helpful. Yes, Therese, fingers crossed. Let's hope we can sort this out. Georgie, is creating a monologue by removing the response of another character in the scene okay? The student will be performing it, acknowledging the other character is present on stage. That should be okay. Again, everything within reason. So you can remove the lines. And as long as it continues to make sense, then it should be okay, Georgie. And if they are acknowledging that person, like they're speaking to them on the stage, it's just they're not responding. Again, I think that should be okay. We've had examples of that before, and it's not been a problem. We were talking the other day about a piece where I don't know whether it's anyone on here. It was about Frankenstein, and the teacher wanting to know whether the student could direct it out to the audience, and it was about being careful about not making the audience into a character, and instead just having the character on the stage with them, and that's far better. Even though it's an imaginary thing, it's just in keeping with the play and the playwright's intentions. Therese, that's a lovely thing to say. Yes, it is nice to feel part of a supportive network, and thank you to everyone for their contributions today, and the best of luck to all of you. It looks like that's all the questions. Thanks to everyone for participating today. We really appreciate your efforts. The best of luck with everything that you're doing. I hope that your students can do some brilliant work and we can start to feel a bit more normal again. If any of you have any questions or anything, then please get in touch. But for now, have wonderful Thursdays, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Relax and see you all soon. Okay, thank you very much. Bye, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our session for today. We hope you found it useful. Have a great day, and you may now disconnect the webinar. Thank you and goodbye.